Welcome to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh,
My name is Mike.
and Ray is absent today. He is out on assignment. Not on
He is
assignment.
not present.
He is unpresent. He is
Unpresent.
He's at work. He's
at work.
he's being an adult with many important things to do. And yeah, that's about that. Also, Mike, I'm just gonna give you a real quick round of applause. On the second take, you did much better.
Thank you. Don't you mean the first take,
Oh, yeah.
Josh?
Yes, this is Unscripted Gaming. We
The one that our lovely audience is hearing. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
we never shoot retakes and start over because that would be
ridiculous.
That would be scripted, and that's bad.
It's okay. I made one dumb joke about Ray liking Battlefield, and it was not very funny, so no one will miss it.
I made a dumb joke about Fortnite being around for a fortnight. It's probably better that part of the episode was lost to the ether.
Good.
So what's good, buddy?
Yeah, well, it's been a minute. We are officially in the post-gritty timeline, and if I didn't F up the recording on that one episode, we would have had a more recent update, but yeah. I did, so here we are. It's been a minute.
Yeah,
so
we had some technical difficulties. It's this is our
Sorry.
first time doing this, so you'll have to forgive us here, but we're here now.
Long time recorder, first time. Long time dumbass, first time trying to be a professional. But here we are. It's Unscripted Gaming. We're back. And we didn't script this because I don't know what we want to talk about first.
No, we really probably should have picked out the beginning topic of conversation. I guess really let's kind of recap anything that you have been engaging in your time since we have last spoken. What have you been playing, Mike?
I can't remember if it was really out by the last time we had recorded, but as to no surprise to anyone who listens to this podcast, I am a Destiny fan.
Wait, what?
I am a fan of Destiny, the video game produced by Bungie.
New information for me.
And I have been playing a crap ton of Destiny 2 Forsaken, the new expansion to Destiny 2. And boy howdy, do I really like... I said boy howdy in 2018, I'm so sorry. I really enjoy it.
I wish you hadn't done that.
I think some of the story stuff they do in the campaign is pretty good. But as someone who really likes some of the deeper lore stuff of Destiny that they really lean into, and some of the end game stuff is really cool to have those have that part of the universe kind of expanded with what the story of the raid is, and all the weird awoken space elf kind of design. It's really cool. Random rolls on guns being back is really interesting because now if I get a drop, it's still worth it just adds a lot more replayability to stuff. Just because if your powerful weapon is something, in year one of Destiny 2, it would just it's another Better Devils, which I already know I don't like, so I'm just going to delete this, but it's my powerful gun, so I guess I have to use it. They kind of work around that in a couple of ways. So it's having random rolls makes me more willing to try out guns I maybe didn't love the first time if it has an interesting set of perks. And there's just lots more ways to get powerful stuff. You can do a daily story mission, a daily heroic adventure. Then there's a rotation of a daily crucible, strike, strike, or gambit. It just feels like that they really spread out all the ways to be able to improve your character. So it's nice to feel like you don't have to. If you don't really like playing Crucible, there are still plenty of ways to level up and get cool, good stuff, without feeling like you're not making any progress. So just they made infusion a bit more costly. And this is kind of a bit of a nitty gritty here, but infusion is a little bit more expensive. But I think they're gonna tweak it because I think they probably overdid it just a bit. But it's good. It's kind of a gentle way to encourage you not just to like blindly infuse the same gear you have, but to give new stuff a try. Because it's kind of pushed me into new kind of gameplay types or like loadouts that I don't think I really would have liked initially, but have with like with interesting perks and kind of more thought going into just like improving my other gear via deleting new stuff I get. It's been really cool. I guess what else? There's just a lot going on there. I personally, as someone who's been playing Destiny since the Taken King of Destiny 1, I think it's the best Destiny has ever been. And I also just really, really like the new mode, Gambit. It's like it's like a light MOBA almost.
Go on.
Yeah, because they're like guys that spawn around the map. You kill the guys. You pick up the little motes, they're called, that they drop. You put them in the bank in the middle of the map, which sends more scarier bad guys on to the enemy team. Because it's like a PvP, like a PvE race. Because you're trying to kill the guys and like fill up your bank to 75 points. And the other team is trying to do the same thing. But at intervals of like, if you bank 5 or 10 at a time, you can send like a guy who like blocks the enemy's bank, and they have to kill that before they can input anything. And then at 25 motes, you can invade the other team and try to kill them while they're trying to do all this. So it's just like a really fun, chaotic mode where like lots of stuff is happening sometimes. Like it gets a bit sweaty when there's like 5 scary blockers out. You're carrying way too many motes, and then you see the pop-up that the invader is coming in, and you have nothing to, and you're just kind of like, it's really fun. Like I think the matches are always really, at least in my experience, like the matches have always been like pretty close, or I feel like it's, I think there's a couple of a couple of times I've just gotten crushed, but I feel like most of the time, like I think it's just like a really fun.
Had maybe double-digit numbers of motes that you suddenly lost because you didn't bank them, Mike? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, it hurts so much. It's bad because the invader, when they come over to your side, they can see where everybody is and how many motes they have. So while sending over like big double-digit point value blockers is good, if you don't time it right, you can get invaded when you have a big fat juicy 15 next to your name, which is the max amount of block or motes you can carry, which is bad, because then the invader is just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you with my sleeper from across the map, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's bad. It hurts a lot, and I hate it. But I actually love it because then you get to invade them and return the favor. So I think overall, like I said, I think it's between like Gambit, the just like the campaign, the new subclasses that they've added, new weapons, and just other kind of gameplay changes that they've made. I think it's the best Destiny has ever been, and I've just been playing an absolute ton of it, and I have really, really, really enjoyed it.
That's good. Now, some of my rant on this will have, I have yet to actually play any of the Forsaken, and some of my feelings on this were documented well on the previous podcast, but anybody who has followed me on social media recently might have also noticed that for a while I was going after Bungie and Activision there, saying basically I was not going to take the get the Forsaken because of their decision to make anybody who has not purchased the the expansion passes, Warmind and Curse of Osiris in advance. You basically had to buy those two to buy the Forsaken as well. And there for a while too. Not only that, in my situation, I had the Curse of Osiris. I did not have Warmind. I made the decision. The Curse of Osiris was not very good. I didn't hear enough about Warmind to really make me think that it was worth the additional money. And I said, I'm going to wait until the Forsaken, see what happens. When the Forsaken came out, they launched a bundle for the expansion pass 1 and 2 for half off, but the standalones were at full price. So you could get the bundle for $10, or you could get the standalones for $20 each. When I tried to purchase said bundle, I was told that I would be unable to because I had one of them already in it. So that just made me feel like they were really just trying to get as many dollars out of me as I could before I purchased Forsaken. But I do believe that Destiny, Bungie and Activision heard. They probably looked at the numbers and saw that they weren't converting enough people, and they have recently made the decision to change it so that if you do purchase the Forsaken and you do not have expansion pass 1 and 2, you basically, if you buy the Forsaken, you complete your bundle. So all you have to do is buy the Forsaken, and you get everything you had missed previously to get up and running.
Also, I'm glad that you're calling it the Forsaken.
I do it every time. I know it's Forsaken, but I can't not call it the Forsaken for whatever reason.
Noted. Okay, I was just curious.
I think this was a good move on Bungie and Activision's part to just kind of not make it seem like they were walling.
I agree 100%. Like I on the one hand I kind of understand like why they went that way in the first place, but I think it's also, I mean, it's like as someone who is, I'm kind of not really in the this kind of doesn't really apply to me because I'm a sucker for Destiny I'm the Destiny field reporter here at this point, so it's my obligation to play all Destiny content as early as possible to report on it for everyone. That's my self-appointed duty, and I will carry it to the grave. But it's I don't feel like burned or anything that I didn't get, like I didn't get this benefit of the pricing on the of the bundles. Like I think it's ultimately a good call. They're making they're putting out some goodies when the next expansion comes out. I think everyone who had Forsaken before the date that they changed this, which I think was like the 16th, is getting a couple goodies, which is cool. And it was cool to like be right along the midst of like following along with like the world's first raid and kind of figuring out all that stuff, like all that poking around, like being in like the Dreaming City in the first week and not really knowing like what the deal is, or like what's this, like all that. I think all like that was a really cool experience. So I think if anyone is like, I don't think anyone who should like who paid the normal pricing before this kind of discount was made should feel like I hope that they don't feel like slighted in any way. And plus it just means more people are playing Destiny, which is good for the game. So I think it's a really great move, and I'm super glad they did it.
Are people who were in my situation but gave in before this decision was made. People who completed their bundle for extra money, like had stepped away from Destiny, had not purchased the expansion packs, or had been like me and purchased one and not the other, had walked away for a little bit and came back hearing about Forsaken. Those people probably do have reason to feel frustrated, but like people like you who purchased Destiny 2 with the expansion pass right off the bat, like with the
Mhm.
season pass. Like I feel like there should be less frustration for those folks. You know, I feel like
And
it's
like,
pretty standard in a big expansion like this to kind of say, hey, you know, this is the new thing. I mean, when you buy Destiny right now for $60, you get Destiny 2, the expansion pass 1 and 2, and Forsaken. So there was no reason besides just trying to extract as much money out of you know, those players who had fallen off to not just say, hey, buy Forsaken and you get everything you need to play Forsaken.
yeah. And like, and to that, I feel like anyone who anyone who bought into Forsaken at like a $60 price to pick up an expansion and Forsaken, I think that there is, in my opinion, I think there's absolutely plenty of game there to get to definitely get your money's worth out of it. In my opinion, like I was telling one thing I didn't mention earlier was that I haven't run the new raid yet, but they're on like the kind of end game area has like a 3-week rotation of weird stuff that happens to it, and on the 3rd week there's this like there's like the secret like high level it's like the light requirement for it is like 5, or the recommended is like 580, I think, with enemies in it at the end being 590. So it's like a really cool like 3-person mini raid, and like you're kind of going through this labyrinth, and there's like boss fights with mechanics, and it's just like a really cool I think it's just like a really cool. It's the kind of stuff that that Destiny 2 just didn't have on launch. That was disappointing. That Destiny 1 had a lot of, had more of, like, between things like it's called the Shattered Throne dungeon, and between that, things like that, and like the Whisper of the Worm quest that came out earlier this year, and Bungie talking about how they really see the game having more types of kind of end game content like that. It makes me really excited for what kind of plans they have next. And like I said, there's just I think there's just so much stuff to do in Destiny 2 right now, and so and like I said, it just has like a value proposition. Even if you didn't get the best deal on it, I think there's still just like an absolutely ton of stuff to do, and all the new subclasses that I've played with feel are really great and add a lot of cool utility. But yeah, so I guess just kind of to end my piece on that, I've just super duper been enjoying. I've just been playing a shit ton of Destiny, and I just really, really enjoy it.
All right. Well, I should probably have my own personal thoughts on Destiny, having stepped away for a couple weeks now. Now that the Forsaken issue has been corrected, and I will likely purchase it and begin to play and hopefully see what happens. So I will have an update probably in the next podcast or two.
I've been saving my I haven't been leveling up one of my classes so I can play through it with you.
Aw, how cute.
Yeah. So I'll like run through the story missions with you and stuff.
Anything else you've been playing, Mike?
Let's see here. It's been a lot of Destiny. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad. I should probably check and see how much I've been playing of Destiny, but I've been
I would
couple
recommend against that, but that's just me.
I mean, as long as someday it's gonna be higher than Payday 2, and that will make me feel happy.
That's gonna be a while though. We played a lot of Payday 2.
I was thinking about this the other day of just like how much I fucking hated my build in Payday 2. like, because in Payday, I always ran as like the guy who had the turrets and the drills, and it never like it using those items and like kind of specking into those, like it never felt like by upgrading and like putting points into that tree, it never felt like I was getting like into being a better heister or more crafty. It just felt like my shit broke slightly less. Like it just never felt good. Like cuz my turrets like would just sucked. Like they just but then sometimes they would suck less. And I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, that sucked. Like, if we ever hardcore get back into Payday 2, I am absolutely not speccing that way. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. Someone else can be the drill monkey, but not me.
That's fair.
It's just not fun. It doesn't feel fun. Oh, but just a couple other quick things I've been playing before and then we can hit some news here. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I've been I played through Donut County on my iPhone. This very cute little. Don't really know how to describe it. It's like mainly you come for like the kind of puzzles, but the best part of it for me was like the story and the writing. Basically, raccoons are stealing people's trash, and by trash, it means everything. And you just play as raccoons summoning magic holes and you like slide the hole around and like pick up objects, and then it's kind of a hard game to just describe, but I really enjoyed the writing in that game. It was very clever. I think the main raccoon character is just, I don't know, not that I like know how, it was just basically the perfect personification of a raccoon in script. It was just like, no, that's exactly what a raccoon would like say and think and do as the little creatures that they are.
Now, is it just on iPhone or what other platforms that
I think it's on PS4 at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think the console versions of it are $15. I played it on iPhone. It was only like $5 or something.
Okay.
But it's a really cute game. I really enjoyed it. I also really love the music. I believe that it was also composed by the creator, the lead developer of the game too.
Real quick,
yeah.
Mike, I don't know if you want. While you were talking, I did a little research.
Oh.
So, you played 225 hours of Payday 2.
Oh, God. Okay.
You have played 386 hours and 42 minutes of Destiny 2.
Oh, it feels so good. I'm free. Oh.
Mike, that is 16 days of Destiny.
Yeah, and it was great.
You're in the top 12% of time played.
That sounds about right. I mean, probably only like 5% of the player base has the Wish Ender bow anyway, so
Anyway, I just
sees through walls.
I just had to
penetrates multiple targets.
It's
really good.
Break in with that.
It's really fun to get. Oh, it feels so good. To not have Payday be my most played game anymore.
I'm really glad that you feel good about that, because, man, I wouldn't.
I feel great. It's because Destiny's a good game, and Payday's not. The end.
All right, continue on. Donut County, cute raccoons, anything?
Very fun. Would recommend. Last one. Still been playing some more of 2018's Game of the Year, Dragon Ball FighterZ Fighters. Was checking out some of the new characters. Recently, they added Android 17 from the Super arc of the show, and Cooler, brother of Frieza, which is really dumb. It's a dumb name. I'm still not great at that game. Well, I'm okay. I've only like won once online, but hey, it's playing online is the hyperbolic time chamber of getting good at that game. Because it makes you good fast.
The only question I have is when are they going to add King Cold? That's the ultimate. They need to get him in there.
I know. With Cooler and Android 17, that is the end of the first season of DLC characters. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go in some interesting directions for season 2. But yeah, Android 17 plays really differently from everybody else in the game. He's got some really cool moves. And he's a lot more. He's like a really kind of built to be. Like there's a lot of like fun change up stuff he can do, and instead of like when you throw a fireball, he backflips to the wall and then jumps, which is like a really fun thing that you can kind of like stutter step into other things or like warp behind somebody and there's just lots of fun stuff you can do with him. And Cooler's just an absolute bruiser, who has some just really cool looking moves. Again, I just maintain that game kicks ass. It feels so much fun to play. The music is amazing, and it's 2018's Game of the Year. So, congratulations in advance.
Alrighty. Anything else that pretty much summed up the main of what you've been into?
That pretty much sums up what I've been playing a lot of. That's mostly what I've been playing. I mean, there's been like a couple itty bitty things here and there, but I'll have more info on that in the coming episodes. But
well, my list is a lot shorter. I have been playing a crap ton of Pokemon Go recently. Getting and dog has gotten me out walking more, and
a dog.
During the walking, I was like, why am I not doing something besides just walking around? So I thought, you know what I'll do is I'll check in on Pokemon Go, see what's been going on there, and then I never stopped. So I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go recently. They have definitely continued to add to that game and iterate on it since its inception. It is still the core of the game that it was, but they have added a lot of things like different combat stuff, raids, research projects that are going on, a bunch of new Pokemon from different generations. So there are a lot of community events that happen during throughout the week. So they have definitely continued to add on to that game, and I've actually really enjoyed playing that game, and also taught my child how to play Pokemon Go. So sometimes she asks for
that's so precious.
She'll just be like, Pikachu phone, and I'll get out my phone and she will help me catch Pokemon. She's actually pretty good at it. She knows how to get into the Pokédex and look at all the Pokemon that I've seen and caught and whatnot, and knows a lot of them by their name and whatnot. So that's been a lot of fun. Other than that, I did play a little bit more of Night in the Woods, and not as much as I would have liked, but I'm still enjoying that story. I'm really interested to see where it goes. Again, as I said on the last time I talked about it, being a kid who grew up in a very similar situation to the main character, a small dying town, post-industry, kind of wondering about, the future and college and getting out of the town kind of thing. I can very much relate to the main character.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see.
Local factory closed down.
Yep. And, and I know very little about this game and where it goes. So I'm kind of, I'm very interested to see what happens. Yeah. So, hope to get into that a little more. I'm actually going to have a little more free time here soon, so I'm hoping to power through some games that I've been not touching recently. But that's really been about it for me since I haven't been playing Destiny. That's been about the long and the short of my gaming the last couple weeks here.
All right. Well, hey, last thing about Destiny before I forget. When we play through the story together, just remember, when you do the mission to get your subclass, and you can pick one tree to apply it to. Pick Code of the Missile. Just trust me. It's the best new subclass that they added. It's hilarious and amazing and really, really powerful. The end.
If you say so.
If you slide over any ammo brick, it reloads your gun and you do more damage.
So Rockstar is getting ready to release a video game.
Yeah, we should talk about that. That was just about to transfer into the news because, oh boy, we got a legitimate labor. We got an LLC, a legitimate labor crisis happening here. You heard it here first.
I just can't believe you just said that.
Josh, I know you're a passionate guy about many things.
I am indeed very passionate about many things.
Well, let's unpack this. Well, as everyone knows, let me try to preface this a little bit. So, there's a cowboy game made by the people who made Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 5 being if I still remember correctly, the most
it is the highest
profitable entertainment launch ever.
I think it's the most
above movies.
I think it's
music.
close to $1 billion.
Yeah. Yes. If not more. So a studio this is not an independent team. It is not a team that is hurting for funding in any way.
Sorry.
Let
me just real quick. 90 million sales worldwide and 6
90 million
billion in revenue.
That's fucking for GTA 5.
Yes. So
Jesus.
Keep that in mind as we talk about the size and scale of Rockstar and the money that they have
billion
and could devote to development costs of a new video game.
That is so much money.
It is a stupid amount of money.
That's crazy. Well, so keeping that in mind, they're making a cowboy game called Red Dead Redemption 2. Sarah just walked in and she's trying not to disturb the recording and is being very peaceful.
But you're still getting distracted. I
love you, sweetie. Sarah has also been playing Destiny and also enjoys it. Anyways, so they're making a cowboy game. It comes out this week, and oh my God, there's so many tangents we can go on in this story. It's fucking crazy.
Well, I think the big start of it was I forget who it was.
Dan Houser's interview with New York Magazine.
Yeah, Dan Houser getting out and basically saying,
he is the co-owner, founder of Rockstar.
Yeah, that we have been pulling 100-hour work weeks trying to crunch and get ready for the launch of the game. To which the game's press and fandom did not take too kindly to that statement that they were working 100-hour work weeks trying to crunch, get ready for the game, which Mr. Hauser did come out and try and clarify, later that day or the next day, and just saying like, oh, well, I'm just talking about, the writing team and some of the senior staff, and we never ask anybody to do this, and there are some people here who...
I believe his exact phrase was, we don't expect anybody to work hard.
Yes.
Like this.
And it's like, there are some people of us who do, and that's our choice, but we would never expect or ask anybody to do something like that. And that, when I was saying this, I was referring to just a small group of people, and that's just not how we operate.
And just in this first, like, we were just scratching the surface here, but there's so much to unpack right here. For those who don't, Rockstar has had this is not the first time that, like, labor issues have come up at Rockstar. Like, Rockstar has been since the first Red Dead Redemption came out in 2010?
Sounds
9? There were some, serious calls about the labor then. LA Noire. Like, this is not a first. This is not it's not a surprise that Rockstar has always had this kind of reputation of crunching people into dust. So for them to go out and this was like, and this New York there was a New York Magazine piece when Dan Houser said this, and he's talking about, like, this game, the script for this game is like 800 pages long. Like, if you printed it out, it would be like 2 feet tall. And like, we work hundreds of hours on this per week. Like, we work 100 hours a week on this. And sidebar, he makes this at least in the context of the New York Magazine interview, he makes this comment, and it is unchallenged by the writer and published published, which just raises an eyebrow to me. It's like, someone says something like that, and it's just like, really? I mean, maybe it's just that you and I are, like, pretty sensitive on kind of issues like that, just being the leftist people that we are, but just how much of a discussion has come of, labor in games, like with the Telltale stuff that happened just a couple weeks ago. Like, how does New York Magazine let that go? Like, it's just a weird oversight on their part.
The only thing I could see is if this is a person, and I don't know anything about the reporter who was interviewing Hauser. I don't know how plugged in they are into the games community and the gaming scene, because it's very possible that he thought that Hauser was speaking anecdotally, or just kind of like, we were working on 100-hour weeks, basically, not like being serious, not saying like we were literally working 100-hour weeks. I can kind of see where they may have missed that if they're not plugged in to the gaming world. But still in a society where I feel like labor issues have been coming up more and more frequently across all industries.
It's just,
you would imagine that a reporter doing an interview like this might press a little bit more on a statement like that.
Yeah. And then, like, and you touched on it too. So after the kind of initial, like, holy shit, wait, what kind of reaction that this interview got, Hauser comes out and says that, I was only referring to the writing team, and this was only for a period of 3 weeks. So we were only working 100-hour weeks, maybe not 100, but like 90, 80 for 3 weeks. That's what he came out to, like, in his clarification. And I think, and Jason Schreier of Kotaku I don't know if we can put this in the show notes or something. Had been, like, when this first came out last week, said he was working on a article that was he had been talking to a lot of Rockstar employees just about their experience there, because, like I said, this is a reputation they've had for quite a long time, and he put an article up on Kotaku that I think includes accounts of he interviewed 34 current employees and 43 former Rockstar employees about just their labor and work experience there. And it's, just kind of going over everything, it's wild. Like, I honestly like don't know where to start. Like, it's like looking, like just kind of going through this, and you're seeing them talk about how, I think, like, I mean, you can glean it from the New York Magazine interview, like, and the correction, quote unquote, that Hauser put out is that they just have the Rockstar upper management just have no clue about how, like, just completely screwed their process is in terms of, like, respecting the working, like, respecting the labor of their employees. And I mean that, like, in that they say, in that their answer to, like, hey, don't you feel like that people are like that people are putting in, like, this is an insane amount of work you're asking people to do without generally not giving them overtime? And they're like, well, it's just because, you know, like, the head of publishing is the main kind of spokesperson for Rockstar in Jason's piece here. And the head of publishing is like, you know, we're just a passionate bunch of people who just want to make a really great game. And, you know, sometimes that might lead to us working an extra 40 or 50 hours a week. Whoops. And it's like, what? No, that's ridiculous. Like, to say that you can't be, the thing that really grinds my gears is that there's an undertone to everything, is that you're not working hard if you're not working 80, 70 hours a week for months. You're not working hard if you're not here nights and weekends and not seeing your family and enjoying your free time.
Yeah, and this is what really gets me about this kind of culture. And you see this a lot, like, you know, a big example that comes up are like Japanese salarymen. It's like all of the studies that have ever been done on workplace productivity have consistently and continually pointed to the kind of work environment that Hauser is talking about at Rockstar often and always leads to a worse output from your employees. Yes, there are a small number of people who do choose and work better in those kinds of conditions. And if you do have folks who want to work that way, let them work. You know, you let the employee work the way they want to work. But when there's a culture that seems to encourage and expect this behavior from everybody, you get a worse product. So you wonder how, yes, there's a crunch that happens and whatnot, but you wonder if this wasn't the expectation, if this wasn't the culture, would a better product happen? Would the crunch not need to happen because people would be more refreshed? They would have better idea. They would come to work every day, every week, ready to do a good job rather than just sitting there spinning their tires because they've been there and they're exhausted and they're depressed and they've missed their families. And like you just wonder, like, I'm sure Red Dead is going to be a great game. Could it have taken less time? Could it have gotten delayed a fewer times? Could it be even better if the people making it weren't knackered?
Yeah, like, if you're bug fixing at 3 a.m., like, you're probably creating more bugs than you're fixing. Like, and kind of, you touched on it too, like, like the Hauser and the head of publishing here in Rockstar and Jason's piece these are not like secret recordings here. These are things they're on the record about. It would just goes to show that they're just completely clueless about it. Like, they're like, you know, we didn't ask, you know, we don't ask people to you know, put in these crazy hours. Like, it's like, you know, it's like we will, you know, as deadlines get tighter, you know, we will, you know, hope that our team members, like, will do what is necessary to get the work done here. But, you know, we're not asking people to, put in these like crazy hours, but they're so clearly creating a culture where the only way you get recognition is to like, it's not even the quality of your work, it's just the raw quantity. That's the thing, is like multiple Rockstar employees, current and former, are on the record here saying that they like will go into the office on the weekends and do nothing at their desk just so that the housers can see them there and think that they're working. And it's just like is a complete misunderstanding of just like what productive labor is. And
it's kind of the issue you have with the great players becoming coaches. They struggle often to understand why people aren't the way that they are.
mm-hmm.
And it's, when you have somebody who is like are like the Housers, and they have that kind of work ethic, and they're like, this is our job. This isn't just our jobs. This is our lives. This is everything we eat, breathe, sleep, and do. They struggled to see how anybody couldn't feel the same way that they do or do things the same way that they do. They can't. They struggled to get outside of themselves in that fashion. And I'm not saying that's okay, but I'm saying that's probably where that comes from. That just being unwilling or incapable of seeing a world outside of how you see it, and then being so driven that they forget that, like, hey, some people just want to work 40 to 50 hours a week, then go home and see their family. Some people don't want to work on weekends because they have children that have lives that.
Yeah, like Colby, the head of publishing, has a comment here. We care deeply about the games. You can become obsessive about certain things. It's like it's just throughout all this testimony, it's clear there's an implication that the only your work is not your work and production is not respected unless you are just doing 8 hours of work over 12 hours a day instead of just 8.
Yep.
It's just raw. It's just a focus and fetishization of raw time in the office versus actual productivity. Yep. And that's not even, and there are other things in here that are worse. They now put names on the website, because the thing that they would, this is the really nefarious thing in this piece, is that Rockstar for quite a long time, I think it's slightly changed with the release of Red Dead 2, but if you were not, no matter how much work you did on a project, if you were not working at Rockstar when the game shipped, you were not in the credits. You were just not listed in the credits of the game. And that is fucking insane. I think that alone is something that it's just the labor, the work hours are bad, but not being credited. If you say you modeled 5 different trees that are used all over in Red Dead 1, but quit because you're fucking tired of working 70 hours and 80 hours a week for months and aren't seeing your family, your name, the one testament you have to the labor that you produce that is being used in this game that's making money, they take that from you. And that is just so gross. Now with Red Dead 2, they're those employees who started Red Dead 2 but did not finish it are now on the website but not in the game. And that'll again, it's just that and that in and of itself is something that is a huge reason why there needs to be a push for a game developers union or of some kind. It's just, I mean, because the film industry has plenty of labor problems, but they take those credits seriously. That's how you get other work. That's how people know that they can, rely on you when they hire, because they see your credits. And for like, I don't know what the practice is of this across the industry, but I don't think Rockstar is the only company that is uses the credits to control people.
Yeah,
and to
it
make
seems like
and
a
make
purely
people.
cynical and vindictive move.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that like the owners and bosses of a company will never have the worker interest. It's just against their nature inherently to take that interest, if that makes sense. So you can't expect them to regulate themselves and to hold themselves and to be held accountable to do that and to not waver. Like, they need to be forced into that position because they clearly are not doing it on their own.
Well, you even see that like in the fandom. Like I think about the stuff with Telltale closing, and yeah, there were plenty of people who were coming out and saying like, yo, you need to pay these people severance, like you need to make it right. How dare you let somebody move across country and sell everything they own and then close the studio after they got hired 8 days later. But then you have a whole other group of people just clamoring, where's our game? How are you going to finish this? What are you going to do? Like, just talking about like, hey, make our game. You need to cut a deal with somebody to get the money to finish this game. Like, I can't just put the blame on the Housers because we, as a gaming culture, as the fandom, have also allowed this by just being so demanding. I'm not trying to like take any responsibility away from them. Obviously, they're at the ultimately responsible. But when you also just have an audience that is clamoring for that kind of stuff, it makes it more difficult to put those kinds of thoughts front and center in your mind. Because you're like, oh well, we're doing this for our fans, we're doing this for our customers, and it's like, well, yes, but you also need to take care of your employees, and that's another reason why unionization is so important, because you have to have somebody whose first interest is always labor. It is always the employee. Somebody has to always have them first and foremost. And it's not management, and it's not the fan base.
It's definitely not the shareholders who are important elements of both of those things. Like, and to kind of give a positive spin of the fallout of some of this, a lot of developers have been sharing their experiences in crunch and it's been a lot of reflection, which has been interesting across from a lot of developers and kind of leaders of the gaming industry this week online, about how things that they thought they were, trying to be like, they thought they were good, like encouraging people who, hey, you put in a lot of hours this week, great job. Like, shout out to this person because they were here nights to, really make sure things got taken care of. There's been a kind of it feels like I don't know, we'll have to see how the fallout of this goes. But I hope that there's been a real sea change in the attitude that people working 70 hours a week for months isn't people wanting to be like, oh, they're super passionate and productive. It's like a failure of project management is what it is. It's, and like a lack of imagination in problem solving. Like Criterion Games, which is another, they had worked on the Burnout games in their history. I think they're an EA team right now. But they had a kind of a post with I can't remember the name of the website here, but they had recently come out and detailed a lot of the things that they do to fight crunch and overworking and make sure and it's not, it wasn't just like ask people to not work as much. It's, how can management, how do we make decisions faster to make sure people aren't investing a huge amount of time into work that doesn't get used? How do we, if we see people are like, if we see like, it was a lot more focus on how management can plan their development and try to anticipate these these kind of deadlines to to not have to overwork people. Because like when Rockstar is working on the whim of like the Hausers showing up at their office like whenever, like when they don't really have a plan for that, then it's just it just requires a lot more of like it's just like turning a very large ship can only be done so quickly. Like like Criterion had a really good understanding that like it's a dumb project management example, but like 9 women can't have a baby in 1 month. Like it's just like it's about there's just like an amount of there are steps you can do. Like it's not just crunch isn't just a nature of the beast. It's like there are deadlines with like shipping and publishing and that that are pretty solid. But there's a lot of things you can do if you are really committed to treating your employees right and still making great product. There are absolutely ways to there's
Crunch
absolutely
isn't
ways to
impossible,
work
but
around it.
If it's happening all the time, that is a fundamental lack of planning, not just the nature of the beast.
Yes, exactly. And it's just a lack of caring too, because as we had mentioned before, Rockstar has plenty of change and plenty of talent to navigate around these problems. And there's and to kind of connect the dots here, there's a very specific reason why they don't, because it's bad for the bottom line.
Yep, that is very true.
Well, dang. So yeah, that again, go read Jason Schreier's story on Kotaku. It was a very interesting read, and I would highly recommend it. He's got very thorough details and sourcing, and he even talked about a very weird interview he went to with Rockstar, where he's they Skype in different teams from around the company, and then they asked him how he felt about it, and he's like, well, I can't trust these people to be honest because I'm in your building right now. And Rockstar just seemed floored by that response, which is telling. Just well, we're coming up at about an hour here. Josh, is there anything else you want to cover? That was a pretty good thorough discussion.
Yeah, I think there's plenty more we could probably discuss, but I think we have had a good discussion here and don't want to overstay our welcome. We gotta. It's been a minute, so we gotta ease people back in. So I think
I know. Yeah, can't hit them with the. Can't overload them.
No.
Gotta leave them wanting.
Yeah. Gotta get them coming back next time for more discussions and more deep thoughts. So and also we can't
let the discourse never die.
Yeah, we can't leave Ray out. We got to get Ray back in here. So
no, I really hope he was able to acquire his copy of Battlefield. He was very excited about it.
Me too, and I hope he gets his victory royale. I really do. I worry about him and just it means a lot to him to be successful as a Fortnite influencer, and it's really tough out there when you don't get those dubs regularly. So Ray, here's to your Fortnite career, sir.
Where are we dropping?
Yeah, So, well, where we're dropping is here on YouTube. You just make sure you are following Unscripted Podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook at Unscripted Gaming. Just type us in the search box, give us a like there, comment on our stuff, chat with us, have some discourse. You can get us on Twitter at Unscript_gaming. You can get us
If you send us questions, we'll answer them.
Yeah. If you send us
Also,
questions,
you should leave us a review.
Yeah, get us here on iTunes.
I promise.
Google Play, Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, anywhere you can get podcasts, we are there. Hit us up, leave us a review, give us a rating.
Buy Unscripted Gaming War Bonds.
Yeah.
We need you to presumably leave a 5-star review because that helps us probably more than just about anything. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So
you need a podcast review.
We really appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
Peace.